One of the things we really believe in is we try to have like a unselfish culture of positive energy. And the thing I always tell the players is that kind of starts with like a foundation of understanding how lucky we are. You know, number one, to be Americans. Number two, to be healthy. Number three, to be in college. And so I was pleasantly reminded of that again today, how fortunate I am to coach at this great university and this level. In 2000, when I was coaching at Seminole State College in Oklahoma, the AD was Rusty Bean, one of the best guys I ever worked for. But we had our kind of preseason press conference, and Rusty reminded me for like 2 weeks, man, you got to wear your Seminole shirt. You know, at that level, I only had one shirt that said Seminole. But it was such a big deal to Rusty, and I forgot. And so that day I got reprimanded by the AD and all. So today I find myself kind of in the same situation. I forgot to bring a Texas Tech shirt, but I'm so fortunate at this level that we have an equipment closet that's filled with stuff. So I got a new shirt on today. I hope you guys like it. But just a reminder to me that I'm going to share with the players before we start practice here in a few minutes about how lucky we are to be at this level. So we've had a good offseason. It kind of started with our summer. We had a lot of cool things going on with our summer. You know, Justin Gray got to play for the Virgin Islands national team where he has citizenship. Also, David Moretti, who we're going to call Moro, guys, so we don't butcher his name for the next 3 or 4 years. Moro played for his Italian national team, so that was pretty cool to have two guys representing, you know, their countries. The guys worked hard. Moro was the only guy that wasn't here this summer because of his commitment to play for his national team. Other than that, we had 100% participation. John Riley did a great job in the weight room. Our coaching staff and GAs did a great job with our players on the floor. So it was another good summer. Then we've kind of picked up where we left off after a couple-week break. We're back at it. I think today is our 6th workout this fall. So we feel good about our team. We like the mix of returners, and we returned a lot of experienced players as well as Tommy and Brandon, who sat out last year. And then, of course, with our new guys, Hiron and Josh being junior college transfers, and then the 7 freshmen. These guys are making me age more than I'd like to, but they're a lot of fun to coach. These 7 guys, they just bring a new energy and kind of a healthy ignorance to this level that they don't know any better. And so in a lot of ways, they've kind of shaped our culture this fall, our young guys. And then our returners, I've been impressed with the leadership so far. So off the court, we're continuing to have a lot of victories, just exciting things. You know, our season tickets right now are at an all-time high. I think we're almost ready to break 5,000, and that was a goal. So I'm so appreciative of all the people that have renewed season tickets. Really, the core group of people that have been so loyal to Tech basketball, even through some bad years on the scoreboard in recent years. And then as we try to build the program back up to where it needs to be, we've had a lot of loyal people stick by us. We've also had a lot of new season ticket holders that have jumped on board. I'm appreciative of those people, and I'm appreciative of last year's team. Those seniors that aren't here anymore helped us lay a foundation last year. And it's evident a lot of things, and one of those would be our season ticket renewal rates and the new people. So we've upgraded the schedule. I don't know if I'm excited about that. It's fun to talk about, but we'll see how exciting it is when we're going through it. But we've got some key matchups. 3 kind of things that come to mind quickly. The MTE this year, the multi-event, will be at the Basketball Hall of Fame, which is in Massachusetts, but the event will actually be in a kind of a casino resort situation in Connecticut, I believe, and we're looking forward to playing, you know, 2 BCS quality opponents there. Could be a great trip for some of our fans. We've got a great game, a single game in Madison Square Garden against Seton Hall, which is expected to be a tournament team again this year. So we've really upgraded the competition, plus have some nice travel for our players. And then thirdly, something I'm really proud of, and didn't pull this off myself, had a lot of support from Kirby and Chad Weiberg, who's no longer with us, and Tony, who's been great, and just our whole administration has really supported the fact that we wanted to play a game in the old Coliseum. And so we play an old Southwest Conference foe, Rice, on was it 16th? December 16th, which is a Saturday, during finals when we can't play in the United Supermarket Arena because of graduation and finals and things like that. We're able to play a game in the old Coliseum, and this is so important to me for so many reasons. It's something I'm really proud that we've been able to pull off. Number one, just to respect and embrace the tradition of Tech basketball here before me, starting with Coach Robinson and Coach Bass, and certainly Gerald Myers' days, and all the other great coaches and players that come before us. And certainly with Coach Dickey's time, all the success that he had in the old Coliseum. In my opinion, one of the best coaches, not only at this school, but really in this part of the country, James Dickey and what he did here. And certainly Coach Knight, I'm very proud of my association with those teams. But just honoring all the past players and coaches and tradition to play a game in the old Coliseum is going to be classic in a lot of ways. We're going to have a former player kind of reunion game before our game with some of those guys, you know, Bubba Jennings coming off screens and hitting jump shots again, and try to talk Coach Myers into coming back and throwing off the jacket and stomping on the floor. And we're just really excited about honoring the past tradition of Texas Tech basketball in that special game this December. So with that being said, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions today.
Coach, I guess just kind of after that year off for Tommy and Brandon, I guess what have you kind of seen from them from a leadership perspective kind of going into this year, knowing that they do have this year to finally play?
Yeah, I've been pleased. You know, it's a process. It's a hard thing to do, to sit out a whole year of basketball when basketball is kind of your life, and guys like Brandon and Tommy grew up playing. It's a big part of their identity and who they are. And then to take a year completely off from the court, there's a lot of tough times. I give our staff a lot of credit for spending time with those guys last year, develop them not only as basketball players but also as people. And then John Riley has basically transformed both of those guys' bodies. I think Tommy weighed about 300 pounds when he got here, and today he's about 258. We expect him to play 250, 260 this year. And Tommy deserves more credit than anybody because it's him putting in the work, but I think he'd be the first to tell you John Riley and his staff did a great job. And then Brandon transformed his body as well. Brandon came in as kind of a heavy-set guard and has really worked on his conditioning, and I think has got himself in a situation where physically he's ready to play in the Big 12.
Chris, what have you seen from this group as far as an identity? Because you have a lot of older guys, a lot of younger guys. What over the summer have you seen as their identity and the chemistry of just what the common thread is for these guys as a group?
Yeah, I think a lot of things. A couple things that come to mind is there's been a real professionalism about these days, about these guys from day one. It kind of started when our season ended sooner than any of us would have wanted last year, and our returning players kind of embraced the idea that, you know, we got to get back to work. You know, we sit around and talk about bad breaks and close games and this and that. You know, nobody cares. This is life. We got to get back to work. And then when the new players came in this summer, which I've already kind of talked about, these 7 freshmen and 2 transfers have brought a lot of enthusiasm and leadership in their own ways from day one. So I like this team. I think that we understand how tough it is to take that next step in the Big 12. I think you can go from bad to good or from average to good relatively. Not easy. Nothing's easy in this league, but that can be done by hard work and getting things done. But when you try to take that next step where you try to go from competitive to good, or from good to great, or ultimately from great to elite, these steps are very difficult, and I think our guys have embraced that. So I think there's a level of positive in our program that we're proud of the success we're having, but we also understand the reality is we got to go out and prove it on the scoreboard, and that's what we're looking forward to doing in the next few months.
I guess just in terms of that senior core, you're going to lean on them like you did your first year here with that senior group as well?
Absolutely. Every team we've ever coached over the years, we value that senior group for so many different reasons. To me, you know, captains might be a junior or sophomore from time to time, but really the core of the team is going to be seniors. And with this group, you know, it's a special group with, you know, Zach and Justin and Keenan. I put Norrance in that same group, even though he's a junior now. I'm going to kind of refer to Norrance in that same group all year long. And then with Naeem, a guy that's kind of paid his dues and has earned the right to be in that conversation as well. Tommy has done some things, but ultimately he's got to get it done on the court. And I have a lot of confidence that he will. But those guys, I think, have been loyal to this university. They've been loyal to the program. Several of them have endured a coaching change, we've talked about before. I'm just pulling for those guys for so many reasons. I like them as people. You know, I think most coaches would like to tell you that you like every guy you coach, but that's just not true. Just like y'all don't like everybody you work with. But with these guys, it's just I have a lot of respect for these players, and I enjoy being around them. And I'm looking forward to, you know, getting back to competition with them very soon.
Coach, last year we saw Naeem in a 3-game stretch be really good, at least scoring the ball. Is there any way to project what you think you might see from Naeem this year?
And I don't know, I can tell you what I hope to see. I have a lot of confidence in Naeem, and that confidence comes from the last few months of work. Had some real honest, heart-to-heart conversations with Naeem after the season, as well as his family and his support group. And Naeem he's embraced challenge and adversity probably as well as I've ever seen any player, in terms of the way he approached his summer, the way he's approaching his academics, and really the way he's living his life right now is a little bit different than he has been. He's always been a great kid. He's always been a special person. He's always been a talented player. But I think what we're trying to get Naeem to understand, and I think he does, is, you know, that next level of discipline is what it takes to play at this level. There's been a lot of players at this school and in this league that have had great games. There's been many players that have had 3 back-to-back games that you mentioned in your question, but there's only a select amount of people that can really get it done at this level. And I think that's the challenge for Naeem this year is consistency. Can you do it every day? And it's not just on the court, it's also can you do it every day in your social life, in your academic life, in your discipline off the court. And by all indications, he's off to a great start.
How is Norris and Jarrett health-wise right now?
So Norris has done well. He got cleared completely with about a week left in summer 2. So this would have been like late July, early August. We kind of took our time getting him back on the court. As of right now, he's full speed. We're watching his reps a little bit. But the doctors have done a great job. You know, Chris, our trainer, is a special guy, and then our team doctors, specifically Dr. Scoville, is an elite person. You know, the communication and what he did with Norris during some hard times was magnificent. So Norris deserves most of the credit. I think the people around him have helped him get to this point. But as we sit here today, he's 100%. It's just not playing in almost a year and a half, 2 years. Just the feel of the game and getting his body back is a process. But his health is he's back. Culver, you know, had a shoulder surgery. Again, right back to Dr. Scoville, giving him a lot of credit for the work he did and his team. Jarrett's been released probably about 3 weeks ago is when he was fully released. And so both of those guys are on the court. What we're challenging with more than anything is just the adjustment for not playing, kind of getting the rust off, but their bodies are perfectly fine.
Coach, how do you feel that this team will take the challenges that you have? You're always going on. There's a one game at a time. There's a one going to that final game of the year. What do you think that this team has done in the offseason that will put them toward an April run?
Yeah, the first thing about this team is specifically, that's a tough word, man. Could never spell that word either. Specifically, I like the way these guys are basically kind of, they're living in reality. You know, we take each day, day by day, which we've talked about a lot with our process, and these guys have given themselves some credit and enjoyed some of the successes we've had, but they've also kind of kept their eye on the big target that really to this point we haven't done much. You know, we want to get this program to the point where we're in the NCAA tournament every year. We're talking about winning games and making runs, not getting the bid. And I think these guys have had a nice balance of, it's been a positive energy. They've embraced the new guys, but they've also kept the bar high where, you know, this is it. So I think one of the most powerful things in like sports and in competition is just the urgency of understanding that, you know, this is it. And with these seniors, I think they understand this is their last go-around. So to make sure that we get where we want to go, we got to have great days, but we also have to keep our eyes on what's ahead. And these guys have had a nice balance between daily work, but also understanding what comes ahead.
Coach, whenever guys get international experience over the summer, especially in college, is there something you've noticed over past experiences, a big lesson that they learn or a way that they've changed, or maybe with your 2 guys this year?
Yeah, I love it. And I would put Zach in the same category, having gone through the MBA process and got a little bit of experience at that level. I like that. I think it's one of the best tools. Me personally, I became a better coach when I had a chance to coach the Swiss national team in Europe 3 or 4 summers ago. I have a lot of respect for professional basketball. You know, ultimately here we have a process we believe in that we've talked a lot about in terms of recovery and nutrition and individual work and academics and training room and weight room and being unselfish. And basically a lot of our process is patterned after professional basketball. I've always thought in college if you could have some guys that approach college basketball like professional basketball, you'd have a real advantage. And I think with like Justin and Zach and Morrow having experience to play for the national teams, and Zach with the NBA process, it's just giving them like real data. We talk all the time about what it's like to play at the next level, but to get a taste of it not only helps them, but now they're able to come back and tell their teammates, hey, this is what it was like. So I've seen a different maturity already from Justin Gray since he's been back. Morrow, of course, has been playing this type basketball since he was a young player. And then Zach came back from the NBA process, I think a different guy too, so I love it.
Seems like both guard spots at wing 1 to 3, whatever. It seems like you just have a whole lot of guys at those 3 spots. How do you feel like the competition's going, and how good is it to have so many guys? It seems like you can rotate in and out in all 3 of those spots.
Yeah, it's everything. It's to me, it's impossible to compete at this level unless you have the depth to practice every day at this level. There's no greater motivation than competition. For example, I've been on the record what I think of Keenan Evans. And I think he's got a chance to be one of the best players I've ever coached. But nothing would make me happier than to have 2 guys walking here that are better than Keenan, because that would make Keenan better. And I don't know if we've quite gotten that done, but we've got some guys that really are competing at every spot. And so I'll give our 7 freshmen a lot of credit. These guys have already pushed people. Malik has already made Norrance and Tommy a better player. I think with Z and Culver and Morrow and Avery and Alex and Parker, all these guys have shown individual moments in our workout so far where they're pushing our upperclassmen. So depth is everything. And then, of course, with the journey that lies ahead, playing at this level and ultimately in the Big 12, the ability to sustain through some injuries with depth, to the ability to play in foul trouble. It's something that I think this year's team's going to have a little bit of advantage over maybe some past teams here at Texas Tech, including last year's team. We just simply stated have better players and depth.
Coach, you're a year into your process here now. You're not trying to come in. You're not trying to move. You're not trying to teach these guys your system. How far ahead are you of the ball from where you were this point last year?
That's a great question. I don't know if we're any farther ahead in terms of like just basketball, but what's happened is our culture's been set. And so and the upperclassmen deserve the majority of the credit. We're spending less time talking about our culture and more time on real work. And so that's always an advantage from year 1 to 2. I've been very fortunate in my career. I've been fortunate where we've had some success in year 1, but a lot of things have to fall into place. And I think last year winning 18 games and beating some ranked teams and basically being competitive in the majority of our schedule, we had a lot of success. But this year, with the culture already being set, here we go. And, like excellence, and it has to be your culture. Success is kind of an outcome of your culture, if that makes sense. And so I think now that we're here year 2, we got some things set. Hopefully we'll start seeing the results of that, ultimately on the scoreboard.
Go back to Jerry. Now that you have Morrow on campus, how does he fit in with the team, and what does he bring to the team, and how is he competing with the American-born players?
Yeah, he fits in great. It starts with him. He's just a special person. He's a great guy. He's a likable guy. He's a guy who walked in the locker room. He's got, 15 friends an hour later. He's that kind of personality, and we knew that when we recruited him. Basketball-wise, he's a proven player. Got recruited at this level, had a lot of great offers, been playing the game at this level for a long time. The adjustment really from European basketball to college basketball is the physicality. He's adjusting to that. He'll have to change his body, and I have a lot of confidence in John Riley and ultimately Morrow that he'll put in the time to do that. I think he'll probably end up playing our first game 15 pounds heavier than he is today. But just his experience at this level, he can play multiple positions, the point guard and the 2. He has the ability to be one of our better shooters from day 1. And then again, that intangible of just being a great guy and a great teammate is exactly what we're trying to value in recruiting here.
Coach, if you could just provide a status update on Matt Temple, and just if you could speak to the front court this year, especially with Malik and his development this year.
Yeah, so Temple, it's be careful with my words here, but stick to my guns and be a truth teller. It's been a frustrating process with Matt. He's gone through an NCAA appeal to try to get another year of eligibility, which in my opinion, not worth much, my opinion, but you asked the question. I think he's deserving of an extra year because of the transition, having not grown up in the States and moving here and being a walk-on and some of the adversity he's been here. I hope that I hope the right thing's done and they give Matt another chance to be a part of college athletics. But we're basically just waiting on the appeal, and it's been a long process, but we're hoping that any day. It's kind of putting Matt's life on hold a little bit, but Matt is so committed to trying to do this that he's actually enrolled in grad school classes right now, just hoping for the good news. If he doesn't get the good news, we'll prepare for that. We'll try to help Matt in any way we can, including trying to play professional basketball.
Avery, how did he kind of come about as a walk-on, and just what do you think about him as a player?
Yeah, Avery Benson, he's going to be a fan favorite sooner than later. He's a tough kid. When we were at Arkansas Little Rock, he was the first player that we offered a scholarship to in the 2017 class. When we transitioned to Texas Tech and he stayed there, we ended up not recruiting him because of the players we had on our roster, and Avery had some different options. Like happens in life a lot, things kind of circle back. So last spring, Avery still had a real interest in playing for us and playing for Texas Tech. So we were just really fortunate that he came as a preferred walk-on. But I really don't know what that word means. These 7 freshmen, they're all players. And Avery will be on this court at some point in his career in the Big 12. Above all, what he brings to the table from day one is just a toughness that a lot of guys don't have. Pound for pound, inch for inch, he might be the toughest guy in our program right now. Now, I'm not saying he's going to beat up Norris in a dark alley, but I'm saying just pound for pound, what he's all about and how he goes about life and basketball. He's a tough kid, and that's something that I've always valued.
I know you talk about the freshmen and the junior college transfers. I guess what were you trying to, get in this recruiting class, and do you feel like you were able to achieve that, kind of seeing them on the court now?
Above all, talent. This is a business of talent. Talent comes in different forms and fashions and avenues, and like I've said before, we're going to recruit everywhere, and I think our first 2 recruiting classes have shown this. We're going to have a basis of high school players because we want to build the program to where we can compete and win championships, and with this, I hate to use names because I'll forget guys, but ultimately, with guys like Morrow and Z and Jarrett Culver, who's special, and Malik, these guys are going to give us a chance to build the program, and they're talented enough to step in and help us year one, need be. We're also going to continue to go junior college route if need be. That's if you're great players that can help us, and I think with Devin graduating, we had a point guard need. With Hiron and Josh coming in here, we feel confident these guys can step in and contribute. International is going to be something that we're always looking for. It's an international game now, and we're really pleased to get Morrow, and we hope that door leads to other players in the future. And then certainly with transfers, thought Anthony Livingston did a great job for us as a grad transfer. We look forward to getting more players in that avenue. But simply stated, we're just looking for guys that can play. It's a talent business. Once you get guys that can play, now you start talking position, chemistry, style of play, but above all, we need players that can play at this level. And I think in this recruiting class, these are guys that, I have a lot of respect for the competition, and I have a lot of respect for other coaches, and I've never thought that I have some kind of secret answer. So it starts by looking at some of the programs that recruited the players that we were fortunate to sign. And so we're in the right neighborhood now. If we're ever going to win the fight, and that would be, on a ladder, cutting down a net on a Monday night, if we're ever going to get into that fight and win that fight, then we got to get in the fight. And I think with this recruiting class, just seeing that we beat some historic schools that we really respect, whether it be a UConn or a Texas or an Indiana, we beat some big schools that we respect for these players. So that kind of gives you another indication that we're getting some talented guys.
I just have one thing about when I look at Tommy and those pictures of him now, it looks photoshopped compared to what he was. Is that a unique thing, what he did, or does that happen all through college basketball as far as his personal experience going from 300 to 258?
I would say that's unique. And I'm the first. I give John Raleigh a lot of credit because he's my guy. I love John. I'd run through a wall for John just like he would our players. But let's take a step back, Jeff, and talk about Tommy. This is a guy that, it's hard to lose 50 pounds. I'd like to lose a few pounds. A couple of you guys could lose a few pounds. It's hard to do, and I consider myself a disciplined person with some toughness, but that's hard to do. So just the black and white, the data, when you go from 300 to 260, man, this is a guy that's made a commitment to not only himself but his family and what he's trying to do with his life and basketball and his teammates. So I have a lot of respect for Tommy right off the gate just for doing that. then basketball-wise, he's really improved his game. I'm excited to coach Tommy, and I think you guys are going to be excited to watch him. But above all, I would say it's a unique story. I would say to say that this kind of thing happens all the time wouldn't be accurate. You know, and ultimately, Tommy's got to get on the court. He's got to grab some rebounds and score some points, and he needs to be sitting here next to me in a couple months after a win. But just evaluating on him where he was the day we signed him to right now, we've got him going in the right direction. He's got a great family support, too, with his mother and 2 brothers. He's got a lot of people pulling for him, as am I.